Welcome everybody and thank you for joining us. Today's subject is tools to detect common health problems in your pet from the comfort of your home. Our presenter today is Dr. Judy Korman. In 1987, Dr. Korman graduated summa cum laude from the University of Pennsylvania School of Veterinary Medicine and received her MBA from the Wharton School of Management in 1988. She formally joined the company of ASSISI in 2017 to spearhead efforts in business and product development. Dr. Korman co-invented and led the development team for the CANINE, ASSISI'S anxiety treatment device for dogs. Dr. Korman is an avid dog enthusiast in agility and currently competes in national events with her Shetland Sheepdog and Australian Coolies. She lives in Mill Spring, North Carolina with her husband and has 2 children in college. We welcome Dr. Korman.
Thank you so much, Carolyn, and welcome everyone to today's presentation. I'd like to take us through some tools to detect common health problems in your pet from the comfort of your home. I think today is an amazing time for us to really focus on health problems in our pets and early detection of those problems, because most of us are home a little bit more with our pets these days, given the circumstances of COVID-19 and the restrictions. And we have an amazing opportunity, because we know our pets very well and we see them on a daily basis, to really look at them in a new light and use the tools that are available to us that I'll discuss today to look at our health problems in our pets and detect those problems early. And I'll walk through a little bit of a rationale of why we want to do that. But the bottom line is, by detecting problems early in our pets, we can do something about those problems at an earlier stage and save the pets from some suffering, improve their quality of life, and even save some money. So let's look at that. Here we go. Sorry about that. So the objectives of today's discussion is that I'd like to discuss about the importance of some of the most common health problems in our pets: obesity, osteoarthritis, and separation anxiety in dogs. We'll understand a little bit more about these conditions, but more importantly, we'll understand about how to use some of these free online tools to detect these conditions early in your own pets, and then what to do about them if you do detect the problems. At the end, I'll save some time for some questions in case you have them, and be happy to answer them now at the end of the presentation, or if you'd like to email us or contact us, we'll give you some information about how to do that. So let's look at some early detection, the important reasons for early detection. First of all, health problems worsen when left undetected. And we as veterinarians are beginning to understand more and more about the role that owners can play in detecting health problems from the comfort of their home. Because we know our animals the best, we are able to see our animals in their own comfortable environment. Veterinarians, when you bring your animal in, you know, we look at your animals in a different way, and we're not looking at them in the comfort of their homes. We can't see some of the signs that you can see and detect early in your pets. So that brings us to why detect early. Well, if you don't detect the problems early, some of them can become worse over time. And the ones that I'll be talking about today definitely fit in that category. And so by detecting early and doing something, course correcting those problems, we may actually be able to save our animals some discomfort and save some money as well. And today it's easier than ever to detect these problems in your pet, because of the online tools that are available and because of telehealth services that many veterinarians have. So you can work with your veterinary office and veterinarian and vet staff from the comfort of your home. The first condition I'd like to discuss is obesity. Obesity is a big problem in America with our pets. It's defined as having a pet with a weight over 30% of what's considered normal from that pet. And overweight status is a pet that has 15% or more overweight, so above the normal weight for that animal. And according to the Association of Pet Obesity Prevention, over 50% of our dogs and over 50% of our cats fit into the category of overweight or obese. which is just a tremendous population out there. And you know, we're not really good as dog owners and cat owners at always seeing our pets from the light of are they overweight or are they obese, and really judging that. So it takes some proactive understanding of what obesity is and what overweight status is in our dogs, and looking at them critically as if we were practitioners. And so I'll go into a little bit more of how we can do that with the online tools that are available. But according to Purina's lifespan study, 2 years or more of a pet's life can be shortened if the pet is overweight or obese. There are certainly other health problems that we know that can be attributed to overweight and obesity. Osteoarthritis, which we'll talk about a little bit more in this presentation, diabetes, respiratory heart conditions, and even some form of cancer. A great website to understand more about pet obesity is listed at the bottom of the page, petobesityprevention.org. So how can you detect if your pet is obese? Well, weighing your pet is not the best way to understand it because you don't really know what the normal weight for your dog or cat should be. Each dog and cat is different in how they metabolize their food, and if your friend has a beagle and you have a beagle and your beagle weighs more, that doesn't necessarily mean that your beagle is overweight or obese. So we need to look at the animal from the standpoint of what the body condition score is. And this is a tool, the body condition score tool on the petobesity.com website, that will allow us to understand the body condition of the dog or the cat and see where it fits overall. If you're following the very simple instructions, it requires you to have your pet in front of you, sitting or standing, and for you to feel the rib cage of your pet, the waistline of your pet, and also underneath your pet. And then to score the dog or the cat based on these pictures, essentially. And you can get a pretty good idea of where your pet would stand once you're able to go through this process, which takes maybe about 5 minutes. So what do you do if your pet is obese or overweight? Well, the first thing to do is to weigh your pet so you can get an initial idea of the baseline. And then you'd want to reweigh your pet weekly. So get a good quality scale that you can put your pet in your arms and hold them while you're weighing them, and then just subtract your weight from the number, and that's how you get your pet's weight. And you can calculate how many calories your pet eats per day. That's going to be an important part of the equation. And you need to include the treats too. We all get in the habit of feeding our dogs or cats treats throughout the day, but those treats have calories too. So listed here is one website where you can go to understand how many calories you're feeding your dog based on your dog's food, and also websites that are available for the similar calculation for cats. And you can determine the number of calories that your pet should be eating. So one part of the equation is how much are you feeding your pet? And are those calories too many calories? Well, the way you determine that is by understanding the number of calories you should be feeding your pet. And petobesityprevention.org gives you calculators to do that as well, based on your pet's size today and what your goals are for the future. So you want to gradually reduce your food intake. If your number of calories that you're feeding your pet is higher than the number of calories that they should be eating per day, then you want to gradually reduce the food intake. You don't want to do it all at once because that may be too much of a shock to the body. Your goal is to reduce the weight over time very slowly by feeding a little bit less. And you can supplement with some other types of food in your pet's food, like pumpkin, for example, in a dog's food, will make them feel more full, but they won't be getting as many calories. You also want to gradually increase the level of exercise and talk to your vet and make sure that you're working with your vet to understand the health conditions that may be causing the weight gain, because there are some underlying health conditions like hypothyroidism that could be contributing to your pet being obese or overweight. The next problem we're going to talk about in pets is osteoarthritis. And this is the most common type of arthritis in our pets. It's also known as degenerative joint disease, so you may have heard that term. And it's a form of chronic joint inflammation. So that's what's going on inside the joint, is inflammation that leads over time to a deterioration, so an erosion of that joint cartilage. And when that happens, oftentimes there is pain. And 40% of all cats and 37% of all dogs have pain due to osteoarthritis. And that's a whopping number. So this is a very, very common problem. And the reason why we want to start detecting it early, and we'll go through a little bit more to understand this, but it's really starting at age 1 that our dogs and cats are succumbing to the effects of osteoarthritis. But we can't always detect it just by looking at them and seeing or not seeing a lameness, for example. It takes a long time for osteoarthritis to have a significant enough effect where the clinical signs like lameness would become obvious, because our pets are really, really good at hiding their pain. They have over time evolved mechanisms to hide pain because those have been really mechanisms for survival. Cats that are in pain can't run as fast from the predators that are preying on them. And so they tend to hide their pain by hiding and withdrawing, or by slowly reducing their ability to exercise. And we'll see some of that in a couple of minutes. But the early detection of osteoarthritis is so important because it's important to the quality of life of our pets. So we as pet parents and pet owners and pet caretakers, we want to do the best for our pets. We want that quality of life to be as high as possible. And to do this, because osteoarthritis starts so early and starts in a very subtle way, we want to be able to use these tools to detect whether our pets are having this problem of osteoarthritis as early as possible. What we found is that if animals are in pain and that pain is untreated, then they can get muscle loss and weakness, not only in the leg or the joint that is affected by the osteoarthritis, but in the rest of the body too. I mean, we know that if our knee hurts, we have an injured knee on the left side, for example, we might alter our gait to compensate for that. And then suddenly our right side of our right leg would be hurting. And the reason for this is that we're using those muscles in a new way. Well, animals do the same thing. So by not addressing the pain of a joint with osteoarthritis early enough, we're getting some muscle loss and weakness in the rest of the body. And this can happen over time and slowly, so we don't always really see it. It's not a quick effect. Also, we know that joints that have osteoarthritis, over time, they increase the level of pain and sensitivity to pain of the entire body. So that whereas at one point, a certain pain level was perceived by the body, later on, when osteoarthritis has its full effects, even less and less painful stimulus, we call it, or painful event, will have a more painful sensation to that body. So pain causes more pain, and so we want to get rid of that pain as early as possible in our pets. Also, we found that increased in anxiety and increase in fear happens with animals in pain, dogs and cats in pain, and over time they get more fearful as pain continues. So they may be protecting their bodies and may even be a little bit of aggression towards people or towards animals in their household that didn't occur before, but is occurring because they're really painful and they don't really know how to express it. And also we have found that there is a decrease in sleep quality and a decrease in the ability to think with animals that have this chronic osteoarthritis and chronic pain. So early recognition and early detection and early intervention for this pain can reduce all of these negative effects that happen over time when the pain is not controlled. So how can we tell if our cats are in pain? Well, there's some great detection tools out there. This is one of them at painfreecats.org. And it's a simple 6-question quiz. And if you answer yes to any of the questions, it essentially indicates that your cat may be in pain due to osteoarthritis. So what it asks is really you to think about your cat. Does it jump up normally or down normally from surfaces? Is your cat not getting on that countertop, for example, to explore the countertop like it used to? Is it not going upstairs or downstairs like it used to? These are all the things that we need to think about to say, hey, maybe my cat does have osteoarthritis at maybe the beginning stages. The same with dogs. We can detect osteoarthritis in dogs also by using some of the online detection tools. And this is one of them from Previcox. It's a non-steroidal anti-inflammatory for dogs. And they have a website that goes through an 8-question quiz for your dogs. And if you answer yes to any of these questions, it indicates that your dog may have pain due to osteoarthritis. So what do you want to do if your pet does have osteoarthritis, or if you suspect that that's the case? Well, one of the first things you should do is really go back to the obesity and overweight discussion we had and see if your dog is overweight or obese, because we know that weight control is the #1 best way to help pets with osteoarthritis. And it's free. In fact, it actually saves you money by feeding your pet less. So this is something that's critically important to understand. If your pet has osteoarthritis, is it overweight or obese? And if so, let's start to reduce that weight. Dietary supplements like omega-3 fatty acids are an excellent way to supplement the diet of your pet to reduce the signs of osteoarthritis. Good studies have been done to show that omega-3 fatty acids actually help your pet to feel less pain. And exercise in moderate amounts are also suggested to keep that body from deteriorating. When we talked about the effects of osteoarthritis, we saw that what happens in a body is that it's going through these changes, and the muscles and the joints and all are deteriorating over time. So if we can stave off that by exercising a little bit more in moderation, that's an excellent way to do. And all these things you can do from the comfort of your home. You should also work with your vet, because osteoarthritis is an important disease and it's an important condition, and your vet would be a very good source to discuss with you all of the ways that you can help your pet from home. But you can also take videos of your pet doing its daily activities, so your vet can see the condition that your pet's in and what it can and cannot do. And this is an excellent way to start a telemedicine consult, for example, with your veterinarian if they offer that service, where you can send the videos in, you can have that initial discussion, and then discuss and make a plan for your pet. There are some other treatment options too. CC Animal Health has a great line of products, loops and loop lounges for your pet. And these treat pain and inflammation associated with osteoarthritis. And they're available through your veterinarian or with a prescription from your veterinarian, or you can call up the company and work out an arrangement giving your veterinarian's name as well. And the medications that we often think of for osteoarthritis are also available with a prescription from your veterinarian. And these are non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, for example. They are often used at the later stages when your pet is really feeling the effects of osteoarthritis. But some of the non-drug approaches, such as the ASSISI line of products, are appropriate at all stages, including the early stages when you're detecting osteoarthritis pain. Let's discuss the last area we wanted to talk about today, separation anxiety. And so the definition of this, and it's often seen in dogs, is that dogs with separation anxiety are really having panic attacks, and they're exhibiting behavior problems when you, the owner, are leaving them alone. And a whopping 1 in 7 dogs has separation anxiety, so that's 13 million dogs in the US, and it can have really devastating effects on the home. So I just wanted to show you, in case you're not familiar with the condition, here's Elliot, a beagle. His parents leave him every day to go to work, and this is what he does. He howls and he gets very upset. He looks out the window, and he also destroys things in their house. And this was before he used one of the ASSISI products, CANINE, and you could see that he's very distraught here, tearing up the bed and howling relentlessly. And the neighbors were not too happy with Elliot. So we know that separation anxiety is a big problem, but it also is a problem that can get worse if it's untreated. So this is the reason why we want to be exploring some of these tools to see if our pets are suffering from a condition like separation anxiety early in the course of the disease. And with all of us staying home more and maybe even adopting more pets, once we do return to work, it could become a big problem with our pets having been used to our company for all that time and now having to do without us for longer periods of time. So now is the time you really want to see, use some of these detection tools and quizzes to see if your pet might be suffering from something like this. Long-term anxiety, such as the one Elliot is suffering from, can have a negative effect on the body as well. So one way of determining if your dog has separation anxiety is this really cool quiz. It's on www.commoncanine.com. That's the website. And the quiz takes about 5 minutes to take. You get the results right away, so you don't have to wait for an email or wait for any period of time. So you can see right there if your pet is likely to be suffering from separation anxiety. You also get the results emailed to you, so you can share them with your caretakers, or with, there we go, or with your veterinarian. And this may be important down the road if you're getting your veterinarian involved with some suggestions about what to do about the separation anxiety and medication, for example. We also highly recommend that you videotape your dog, because by videotaping, you're going to see some of the signs of separation anxiety that you might not see without the videotaping. So these are some of the signs that we see with dogs with separation anxiety. We see, like Elliot, they can vocalize for long periods of time. 15 minutes or more is for sure a sign of separation anxiety. But here's a sign that you really don't see too much unless you're videotaping your dog. It's called watchful waiting, where your dog is looking out the window, waiting and waiting for you to come home. Some other signs like destruction and escapism are all explained in that quiz. And they're ones that you do want to check out and see if your dog is experiencing these. He or she might be experiencing some separation anxiety. So there are things you can do about separation anxiety. So if you do determine by the quiz and other techniques that your dog has separation anxiety or is likely to, you can talk to your veterinarian about medication. You can explore some non-drug solutions, which are usually used before the medications, like CANINE, the device that ASSISI has that I'll talk about in a moment, or some compression wearables and pheromones and other techniques. And also some behavior modification techniques that often it's good to work with behavior consultants in order to utilize these techniques, such as counter conditioning and desensitization. So ASSISI'S CANINE is a drug-free way, a safe and effective drug-free way to have long-lasting results on canine separation anxiety. And it's a device that the dogs wear for 2 15-minute sessions a day. And with that, it's safe in combination with other behavior modification programs or with medications or anything else, but it can be used alone as well. And it can be used early on when there's early detection